Hey true believers, this is Mr. Miracle Comics. My name is Dave, and this is my comic book contest entry for Comicbooksnyc's 250 subscriber contest. So this is my little buddy Jammer. He was whining for some attention, so I figured I'd bring him up here for a second. Oh, yeah, you want to get down, buddy? So here's my story. Sorry. So I know Comic Book NYC were looking for, you wanted to tell us a story. I think you were thinking more about comic book sort of related stories. You're a little vague in what you wanted. So I'm going to tell you a non-comic book story. I'm just going to tell you a story that happened. And it's pretty entertaining, so I hope you like the story. Before I start the story, though, I'm going to put a little disclaimer here. What I do in this story is extremely dangerous. I can do this because of my years and years of experience with bears and bear behavior. Do not try this if you encounter a bear in the woods. So, I grew up in a small city in northern Canada, in the Yukon Territory, a place called Whitehorse. However, my parents didn't actually live right in town, they lived outside of town. And on my dad's property, had quite a large piece of property, and there was quite a bit of wilderness in this property. So he, exploring this property as a kid, and I grew up there, and we'd ride dirt bikes all over it, and we'd run through the woods or ride our pedal bikes, or skidoo in the wintertime. Anyway, there was a bear that lived on this property, and I got to know this bear quite well over the course of my life and years, and he got to know me and ignored me. He knows I'm not prey, he knows I'm not a threat, he knows I'm not there to try and steal his food sources or anything like that. So basically, he ignores me because they don't really think of human beings as food or prey, right? We don't act like prey. Anyway, so I was about 21, and university had let out for the summer, and a buddy and I decided to go to Montreal for a few weeks and check out the city. And it has quite a good nightlife, and we were out at the bar one night, and I met this girl. And I ended up telling her where I'm from northern Canada, and she tells me, oh, in a few weeks I'm going up to Alaska for this trip. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And she's like, yeah. So I'm like, give her my phone number. I'm like, hey, when you get to Whitehorse, look me up. I can show you some cool stuff. She's like, neat. I've never seen a bear before in the wild. I've only seen them in a zoo. I'd love to see a bear in the wild. And I'm like, I know where this bear lives. Easy to show you. He's, amazing grizzly bear. She's like, cool. Anyway, I'm back at home. I left Montreal and went back up to Whitehorse. And a couple weeks later, I get this phone call from this girl. And she's like, hey, remember me? I want to take you up on your offer of seeing that bear. And I'm like, sure, no problem. So I go and I pick her up and, put her in the truck, and we drive out to my dad's property, and we go for a hike where I know this bear is. And I know, the bear is going to remember me. Bears have very long memories. They're very intelligent creatures, right, with long memories. And, he's going to ignore me, but he's going to catch her scent, and he's going to get curious about her scent and come and investigate. So I walk her around a little bit, and, I'm showing her footprints in the ground. Now, this is the biggest grizzly bear I have ever seen, hands down. He comes up, when he's on all fours, he's about, halfway up my chest. I'm 6 feet tall. He probably, 4.5 feet on all fours. I've seen him stand up on his hind legs. He's got to be at least 8 feet tall on his hind legs. Just, massive bear. He leaves 1-inch impressions everywhere, you go, everywhere he walks. And then, you look at your boot print and it's only going in 1/4 inch. So you got to think he's got to be, if I'm 200 pounds, he's got to be 800-900 pounds. And, huge bear, footprints in the ground, size of dinner plates. Anyway, so he pops out, ends up popping out in the trail in front of us. And I'm like, all right, there he is, right? And she's like, wow. But I grab her. She's kind of behind me, and I grab her. And I say, whatever you do, don't run. Look at the ground. Don't stare at him in the eye. Okay. And all of a sudden, because I can see he's doing this behavior, and that he's going to do a dominance move that's like a bluff charge, right? Like he's going to, exert his dominance on us. And if you run away, you're going to trigger that predatory instinct in him, and he's going to run you down because you're acting like prey. So we don't want to run away from a bear. A bear can run faster than Usain Bolt, the average bear. Or the average grizzly bear can run faster than Usain Bolt. You are not going to outrun that bear. So grabbed her. Don't run. Look at the ground, right? Don't look the bear in the eye. Big grizzly bear comes charging. Stops about 10 feet away from us, right? And like I said, they run fast. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now he walks out a bit, turns around, he charges again. This time he gets quite a bit closer, and he's probably now only about 3 feet away from me on his second charge. I'm like, whoa. He walks out, and all of a sudden he doesn't get very far, and he turns around, he charges the third time, and I think he was a little surprised himself at how close he still was, because he came to a skidding stop, and now he's like a foot away from my side, right? And he's right there, and I can feel his hot breath, and out of the corner of my eye I can fully see him, and his head's the size of a beach ball, and he's got fucking teeth in there like that long. And I'm like, God damn it, I didn't expect him to get this close. And literally when he turns around to walk away on the third time, he hits me with his butt and moves me out of the way, right? And I just take the move and kind of, hold on, don't, take that as me attacking him, kind of hoping, right? But he doesn't, and he walks off, and he wanders off in the bush, right? He's done his dominance move. He's, established that this is his territory, and we did the right thing and have agreed to it in bear language. So I think this is a really cool experience, right? I'm so used to bears and stuff. Like, wow, we got that fucking close to him. And, that this girl who had never ever seen a bear is going to be like, wow, what an experience, right? And I turn around, and wrong. She has got tears and black mascara just running down her face, and she's sobbing and shaking, and she's got pee all down the front of her pants, all down the front of her jeans. She peed her pants. To me, it was a really cool experience. To her, it was terrifying. She thought she was going to be run down and eaten by a grizzly bear right there in the middle of the Yukon wilderness. We're walking back. She won't talk to me. She'll hardly even look at me. We got in the truck. She wouldn't talk to me the whole way. I'm trying to apologize. I'm trying to explain. I thought it would be really cool for her. I'm sorry I didn't explain what was going to happen. No, fuck, she got out of the truck, she slammed the door, she said something in French. Well, I know what she said in French. She basically called me an a-hole. Je ne parle le français le plus bon, mais je parle un peu. Right, so I understand, enough that I know what she's called me. I guess what I've heard that she must have taken the time long enough to change her pants, and then she went and bought an airplane ticket and flew back to Montreal. I don't know what happened to her stuff or whatever that she had brought up there, because apparently she drove. So yeah, trip off. Alaska trip is off. Back to Montreal, never to come up to the Canadian North again. And that's my story. Please don't try that on your own. And telling that bear story, it really reminds me of a few other bear stories that start coming to mind. Right, the time I was hunted by a polar bear in the Arctic. The time I made my little brother hit a black bear on the butt with a willow switch when he was digging in when the bear was digging in the garbage. Poor kid could have been killed. The time I was trapped in a cabin when it was minus 40 below in the middle of winter by a pack of wolves were friggin' surrounded me. That was a scary one. I didn't know if I was going to make it out of that one. I had a pet fox when I was a kid. Had a pet raven, sort of. They still lived outside, but the little fox would come and follow me around all day. Anyway, lots of stories I could tell about living in the Canadian North. But that's the story I'm going to tell, Comic Book NYC. I hope you counted into your contest. If not, it was still a cool story to tell you, and I'm glad for the opportunity to do it. So this has been Mr. Miracle. Please go to Comic Book NYC's channel and subscribe. Like his videos, because he's got lots of really great content on there about comic books, and I will leave a link to his channel in the description of this video. This is Mr. Miracle Comics. My name is Dave. I'll see you next video.